So I realized this morning that I have a pattern. Didn't realize I had a pattern.
Okay. Tell me about the pattern.
Today, I'm speaking with our friend Tony Moore, who you loved,
Okay.
the guest on the
Mhm.
show. It's the 7-year anniversary of his show that he started 7 years ago. Actually tomorrow, but we're talking today about it. Because of him, I'm here doing this. So it's my anniversary also in this part of my career. So that's what I'm talking about it. And I was laughing because it brought me back to 21 years ago next month. I was at the first Insurance Skills Center Agribusiness Conference in Sacramento helping out. So I was laughing. I was in meditation this morning going, oh my God, I have a pattern. So Nick needed help for this conference. And I'm laughing now because that conference was so new. It was very like the first year or second year they did it. It was only one track, couple of breakout. Like but he was by himself basically doing everything. I think Diana Honeycutt was coming up to help a little bit, but other than that, I'm name some names, girl. Name some names. You go remember. And I remember I was working at a video store. I had in retail to get a Monday through Friday job, just days, no nights and weekends, a big deal. And I had worked up to that at Gramophone Video in San Francisco. So I went to Monday through Friday, and he was like, he goes, yeah, I have this conference coming up. I just have so much work to do, and I need help. And I was like, well, maybe I'll come help you. And see, I was planning on leaving San Francisco to come back to LA 21 years ago. I said, I'm just gonna work this job until I get enough money kind of to bring back with me. Then I'll just leave. And I was like, I was gonna leave my apartment. I was gonna just like live with friends. I said this whole thing. He goes, why don't you come live with me and David, and you stay with us until you leave. Literally, all my stuff was down here in this house, in this room. This room was filled with boxes. 21 years ago, just my shit down here. I had a couple pieces of clothes, whatever, a few things, a few personal items. And he said, just come help me for the week. And I was like, it's like 5 days, like that. He's like, and we'll pay you good money. I was like, oh, okay. So I came on and I did the conference. I met Clark Pan. We have bonded over being twins. I met the ladies, Lori Infantino and Patty Carlson and Marjorie Sagan. I met all these people. I met Emmett Vaughn and Cheryl Koch. I was like, I was meeting all these people. I met some, I think Rose Beatty was her name, I think. I remember. I had met Al Parizo. I was meeting all these people. They were all there. So this was like early in. And I came on to help for this conference. And at the end, I go, well, Nick, he's like, now I gotta do all the CE for it. I don't that one. I was like, CE, what does that mean? And he was just like, I have all this stuff I have to do afterwards. And I go, so you need help? He goes, yeah. And I go, what if I came to work for you for a little before I leave? And he was like, well, you gotta ask. He told me I gotta ask them. So I remember Lori Infantino and I were sitting in one of the conference rooms. She's going to give me my check. They're going to actually hand me a check and say thank you or whatever. And she's like, thank you so much. You were so wonderful. Your attitude is just like, you're like, who are you? Like, where'd you come from? And I was like, well, I've known Nick for years, blah, blah, blah. I said, I'm from Sacramento. I'm here in Sacramento. I'm going to go see my kids. And I was going to do that stuff. And I said, do you guys need help? And she's like, well, does Nick need help? Nicholas. Did Nicholas need help? I go, I seem like he does. And I said, we need somebody to come in like part-time or something. Maybe I can come in. She goes, well, I like you. Let me talk to Clark. So then I went back to work. And then it was, I got a call a week or so later, Nick saying they're open. They all loved you. They all loved you. They're like, who's this guy? Where'd he come from? And they said in the budget, they could hire you. They'll hire you full-time. You said you're leaving like 3 months. We'll put you on for like a 3-month, 4-month thing. And I was shocked because, most jobs want you to put at least a year or, 2, especially back then. It was much different environment. But I said, no, I'm leaving. I'm going to LA. Like, fuck you, man. I'm leaving. I'm going to LA. I'm going to make my life. I know what I was going to do back then. I don't know what I was going to leave. And he's like, well, come on for 3 months. Later, he lets me know that he was like, he's working his way to keep me, of course. But I went on for 3 months and stayed for 11 years, clearly. And I came on just to help out. And at the end of the 3 months, he was like, well, what do you think? I was like, well, I guess I'll stay. I was having fun. Went to my first YBAC shortly thereafter also. And you're not on Facebook, but someone posted a thing about YBAC and everybody out of the woodwork is coming out commenting. From Ed
Really?
Hui to Jeffrey Lang to, I mean, everybody's commenting. And I made a comment just being funny. I could write a book about Wyback. Don't write up. I'm not writing. I'm just joking. I can write a book about Wyback. But like Robin Biggs, everybody, Robin Holt, everybody was commenting. Everybody was commenting. It's this big thing right now about something that happened at Wyback like 100 years ago. But I noticed I came in to help, and so then I stayed. Well, this one was the same thing. 7 years ago, around this time, somebody I was dating, best friend, was like, James, we're doing this new show on AfterBuzz TV. I'm like, what's AfterBuzz TV? And that was a network that does after shows and movie reviews. And they're like, oh, okay, it's a network. And you like Days of Our Lives? I go, well, yeah, I've watched this since like 1983. He goes, well, we're gonna come on and host. You should come on and guest sometime. You come on and guest. I didn't know what that meant. I was like, okay. I had a radio show at the time, so I was doing the radio show, the SOS show, James Lott Jr. I was doing that. But I was like, video, TV. So then they debuted. Then a week later, it said, James, you come on this Sunday. Fill in. Tony was going to be in Australia doing a hosting gig. So I didn't meet Tony until March. So I first got my first 2 appearances, Tony wasn't even there. And so I remember going on, I remember walking in the studio in Burbank or North Hollywood. And I was like, this is a studio. And I was like, I'm never leaving, bitches. They couldn't get rid of me. I came in to help every other show. Kind of, I was coming in, and then the fans, I guess they loved me. But I was so like, hi, I'm James Lott. I was so not this now. I think like those first episodes, I'm like, oh my God, who is that? And I came to help, and I stayed, and obviously I'm doing it 7 years later. So I started like this pattern. I would come in to help, and then I ended up making a career out of it.
Well, thank God you did.
And it's full circle in some way for us, because I brought both of those together.
Yes, you did. And now I get to, Tony's great.
I know you loved you guys love each other. Yeah.
I have to get him back on the show as a guest,
Yes.
right?
Bring him on again.
So how are you feeling about all of this? Like that realization about full circles and through that, I'll come help you out turns into a new career path. Like, how are you feeling about that?
I feel like it's a great way to live for some people. It just shows that I'm open to the universe, which I've always been, and I took a chance. Like I was just like, wow. At first it was kind of like, oh, there's a pattern. Like it's that first hit of like get slapped across the face. Like, oh my God, it's a pattern. And I was like, oh, it's kind of cool because when you realize stuff later, you don't know, you just don't know. And both times were milestones in my life. The first time was around my early 30s. And this last time I was in my mid 40s. So it's kind of like there's the two just parts of my life where I was changing anyway. But it just kind of realization was like, James, you are open to things. Like you are open to change. You're open to something different. You're fearless. You just go, you just like, okay, I'll try it. I mean, I left a cushy, I could have wrote out my days at this video store. It was not challenging at all. I was like, what video do you want? Rewind next time, you guys get my nerve. That's all I did all day long. That's all I did all day long. Rewind. That's all I did all day long. And I'd eat we're gonna get lunch, and then it's like, blah, 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 whatever. But this was actually, I took on a job. Like I went in a place where, and Nick he desperately needed my help. And it was kind of like, I'm learning about education, I'm learning about insurance, I'm learning about all this stuff. I never thought a million years that I would even come across my life. So it just tells me that I am, and again with TV, now same thing. TV, all the people it's making me reflective of all the people I've interviewed, everybody that I've worked with, all my hosts and co-hosts and guests, and I have fans, and this whole weird world that I'm in now. It's just like, it reminds me that you just sometimes things come along, and you just, if you're open enough, possibly you should take them and see where it actually goes, and it can be fine. Like it's scary, be fine.
Mm-hmm. I don't know that I have a pattern so much, but I remember early on, And I started working through school. Like I knew I wanted to make money. That was like obvious to me in my life.
Right.
So I would experience a job, do my best at it, kind of analyze it to see if that was something else I wanted to pursue. And then if it wasn't, I just cut it like off. And the insurance thing happened for me haphazardly because my dad wanted me to come in. And I was like, oh, no way. I want to do insurance. Like,
Yeah.
so, but I remember I had a 9-to-5 job, 5 days a week, didn't work weekends in retail.
See, you know how that's rare, folks. That is not always.
It is rare, but I like worked my way into that.
Yep.
And I remember going in, and I was a good employee, and I'm just saying that because it's me, but I was squared away, and
Yeah.
the district manager didn't like me for whatever reason.
Okay.
And so I didn't get my promotion. I wanted to be kind of like a store assistant, you know, so I could have my own keys and be a little bit more responsible, learn that side of the business. So I was crushed and I was really mad. And my dad's like, in that moment of being mad, took advantage of me. He's like, oh, you should come over to the insurance side. And so that was my catalyst to insurance some 30-something years ago.
Yes.
So I mean, I almost feel like I was saved in a way by that district manager who I really did not like. Like we did not like each other at all. But a very valuable lesson in life was best to make friends than enemies when people are making decisions on your, you know, on your behalf. Like my future got stunted at that company because somebody didn't like me. Like that didn't seem fair.
Right. Well, also, you know what else you learned? I'm gonna tell you what you learned. No.
Okay.
You know what else you learned? The other thing that you learned is that not all paths are meant for you. We think they are. Like we'll just, you know, because we're in the moment. We're like, I want to do this, and and you and I are like that way. So I know how you think. Where you're just like, so I'm gonna move this way and make this move to get to here to get to there. And then when something happens, you're like, that's not part of the plan. No, that's not part of the plan. I'm like, I don't. Why are you not working with me? Because I'm supposed to be here. And what I find as I'm getting older and had so many different career changes, I've learned that that's actually a good thing because now you're doing something that you actually love and it's better. Just think if you had stayed there, it could have been horrible.
Yeah, and the company a few years later went bankrupt anyway.
Well, there you go.
And then you learn about that business and it's pretty volatile, and you know there's just so much to know about being successful in retail.
Oh yeah.
So you know, but it's funny that you're right. I mean, every step that I took it always leads you to the next step.
Yes, of course.
So I like knowing that
Yes.
that individual who didn't like me so much really is kind of responsible for my career.
Right. No, right. That's what I always say.
You.
I always say thank you to the folks who said no.
Yeah.
So thank you to them too. I mean, seriously, I always tell people, I say to all the haters, thank you. You know, all the folks who gave me attitude. I mean, and here's the thing, and I don't care. I say whatever I want on these shows, and I'll tell you, I was mistreated towards the end of my stay at Insurance Field Center. I have no problem saying that out loud, and I have no shame with that. But that was a blessing in disguise for me because it made me look at my life and go, well, James, well, are you actually really happy? And if I was happy besides that stuff, then I probably would have found another way to stay in the business, right? I would have found another way. But I was kind of like, I don't even want to be in the business. I mean, I don't even want to do this anymore. I want to try, I want to do something totally different. So again, thank you, ladies, and thank you for the situation because it led me to something even greater for me. That's more of a fit for me.
Yeah.
So I think that's you know. So I always say all the time, you know, out of tragedy, beauty can be born. You know, that's a true statement. I mean, it's just kind of like, you know, because we think. I'm saying I was always like, work towards this, work towards that, do that. I mean, I was always very much, I know what's gonna happen when I go here, and then when things like that, all of a sudden you're faced with something like, oh, okay. what do we do? But what do you do is you pivot and change.
Pivot and you change, always moving forward.
Yes. Right. Don't sit in it. I didn't want to sit in it. I mean, I was gonna sit and just go, they did me so wrong. I'm not gonna do all that. It was just like, well, now you're free. So now what, James? Now what, Melissa? Now that didn't work out. Now your dad's offering you this insurance thing, and you're like, well, I could try it out and see what it's like. You had nothing to lose, not really.
No, and I was more mature at that point, fast forward a couple of years later, and it was like, okay, well, wait, how much money?
But think this way, though, Melissa, you could have tried it for a few years and go, this is not for me either. You would have been fine. And knowing you would have picked another profession and been fine. You know what I mean? Like some of us, we would have figured it out. And I highly think you and that person, you would have figured it out. You know what I mean? You found what you like. But I'm saying that I just think that's the lesson who listen to us, who like our conversations, thanks folks who always listen to us, that Melissa could have said, I tried it for a couple years, Dad. I'm sorry, it's just not for me. I'm gonna go into medical, or I'm gonna go into this. And you could easily done that, or into law, or into teaching, or entertainment. You could have said, I'm gonna do entertainment and been behind the scenes. You really don't never know. But you had nothing to lose by going, okay, Dad, I'll come in and try it. You really had nothing to lose.
Quite on the contrary.
Right. And that's the people forget that part. You have to remember that there's all kinds of things can happen, and even great. And I think retail, food service, those are things that are very, very wishy-washy. All my retail jobs I ever had are all closed. They're gone. Every single one I've ever worked at is gone. I did a lot of retail in the 80s and 90s. They're all gone, all of them.
It was the thing. Like I remember wanting to work in retail because it was exciting, that's where you knew you could go to get a job. Like
Yes.
people would hire a 19, 18, 17 something year old to work retail, so that was kind of our natural go-to back then.
Completely.
What's the go-to now, James? Like how
Good question. I have no idea. No idea, because I remember when we were coming up, we're like back in the day when we were coming up. I remember being told, well, go work at a grocery store. You could be a checker while you're going to school. Like there are certain jobs that were jobs for our kind of people, meaning young
fast
people.
food, which is still around.
Yeah, but see, now they're not. Now those are just jobs. They're not just jobs for students anymore. Now they're like people are literally living or trying to live off of those jobs. I was always taught that retail stuff, you could be a lifelong retail person or restaurant person, but that was like rare. There are a few, you could do that, but usually it was taught as a stepping stone while you are in blank, or while you're trying to make blank. Like that was, you did it and then you went somewhere else. There are a few lifers. There are a few that were lifers, but now I think it's changed. It's like, it's anybody, you need a job, get a job. I mean, that's retail or food service. I don't know anymore. Like, waiting was always because you were an actor, or you were you're in college.
Right.
You worked at tables, you worked at I worked at hotels and restaurants. I mean, that was all because I was going to school.
True.
But now I have no idea what the go-to is. Influencer. The go-to is I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's a good question for the young kids. I have no idea. I should ask my grandson. He's looking at a camera.
Yeah, ask your grandson.
I'm gonna ask him, what is it? What do you guys look for? Like,
yeah, so like when you ask a friend, like, where would I go get a job? Like, what are they saying to you?
That's a good question. That's a great question. I have no idea.
I think we should circle back on that.
Yeah, I agree.
Curious.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I don't know. But for me, it was always like, go get a job. We do those retail or food service.
Right. That's exactly what
Isn't that funny?
my dad was like, you need to work, go get a job. And we went and got jobs. My sister and I, like the next week we had jobs. It was that easy actually to go get a job.
Yeah, no, it was. I never had a problem. I would say from 84, when my first job was 1984. I was 15 years old, and till about the 2000s. Literally, just Insurance Skill Center. Literally, I had never had a problem getting jobs. Never. You apply, I got it usually. I mean,
and they were there and available.
Right. That's so funny. I know, it just seemed easier. Or friends recommend you. My friend had a job. Well, I thought I got Insurance Skill Center. Basically, it was Nick. I mean, he's like, my friend works here. Come over here. We got a job. When I was at Headlines, 5 of us followed each other over to this one job. was like, first it was me, then it was them, then it was like, we all just populated the store. But that was easy back then. They needed hired hands. It was just no big deal. We all worked together, we all did our thing, and life went on. But I just think now I have no idea what the landscape is. That's a great question. I don't know.
Yeah, let me know seriously what he
Yeah,
says.
ask
I'd
him.
be curious to know.
They say, I need a job. Where should I go? What they say? They still say fast food, or they still say. I mean, my kids we're working at pizza parlor. I'm all pizza parlor. How old am I? Pizza joints. I'll say that. Make myself sound a little hipper. Pizza joints, and or they were doing tutoring, or they're just like there's things that we, by the 2000s, it got a little different there. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Just like when we were my first job actually was I was a day camp counselor at the Hollywood YMCA with my sister. So she got me a job. She was the director, and she's like, okay, but she was such a bitch to me. God, she was trying not to show favoritism. So
Right.
she went overboard. Everybody knew I was a younger brother, but because she went overboard, she apologized years later. But it's like she just went overboard. I'm like, I get it, you're my sister. Like, I'm going to do the job. I was a hard worker even then. That was my first job. But then I went into record stores and video stores, and you don't even know what those are. They don't even have those anymore. And then I went into food stores first, and then retail. I thought I could never do retail. I thought, retail, selling shoes and jeans. Oh. And then
Sold sweats.
Sweats. Oh my God, it's so funny.
Yeah, I did. Pure sweat. I actually had a following. Like, customers would call me to see if a brand or a size or a color came in. And my manager, who became a very dear friend of mine, she looked at me one day and she's like, because she's the ultimate saleswoman. My friend can sell anything. She's amazing that way. And she looked at me one day and she says, why are customers calling and asking for you? And I didn't have an answer. I was like, I don't know. But I was on the floor doing my thing and I was just helping people find sizes and colors and, call us in a week, call me in a week, I'll ask me if we've got that brand in.
Yep.
And naturally was selling. I didn't even connect that I was selling. I was just in service. But they're two distinct things. And it's interesting looking back on that when you think about being, when they say you're a natural at something, you don't often know you're doing it in the moment until later on you've developed some level of perspective and context about life. And then you go, oh my God, I was selling and I didn't even know it.
I know. And the thing is, I hated sales, but I was a natural at it.
You're such a personality. I mean,
that's what it was. They put me on the floor on purpose. The managers left me on the floor. They're like, well, James will make the floor go. Because we used to sell Levi's jeans this one place. We had a whole jean wall. I could fold that jean wall perfectly too. Don't get me started. But there was these guys that were like the top sellers. You know how that is. Like they were top sellers in that department. And then here comes bouncy old James Lott Jr. with the same hairdo I had 40 years ago. I'm bouncing in there like, hi, I'm James Lott Jr. And they're like, oh, whatever. And then I took over, literally just my personality. Because you're right, people go, you're almost a personal shopper.
Yes.
They come to you going, I liked working with him. And it was like, when it comes to clothing, I knew for a lot of women, especially, they want just one person they could talk to. It's kind of like, so because the little secretive little, whatever, there's body issues. Because I mean, some of these girls come here going, well, I'm a size 4. No, girlfriend, you're a size 10. Here, go try that. It's like, let's squeeze into that and see what happens. I mean, like, but they would get nervous about it. I was like, but I always like, you look great, you look good. I'm like, oh my God, it's great, and blah, blah, on your ass, blah, blah. And so I talked them up, so they loved it. So it became this thing where it's an experience also. It's an experience. So they came to you for the experience, your experience, and it felt safe. And it also makes them feel good, like they have a personal shopper, they have somebody they can talk to. They love that.
Yeah, they do.
Service sales and all that. It's I think, and I had this talk with on the other podcast, IAB Cal Voices, was me, and I forgot who it was. We had this whole talk about retail versus, well, actually how it relates to insurance. And Clark and them literally sent me an email that we love that you mentioned retail. We never thought of it before. You guys both mentioned retail. they love that interview. I was gonna remember on top of my head which interview that was, but we talked about how we said everyone should a retail job at least once. Just get an idea of what customer service really is, because that's like frontline, down and dirty. I guess everybody should wait a table. I think people should, you need to learn what
Yes.
that is like. I really do believe that. I think when you talk about when you get into sales and service, those are two places that you really are in the face,
Oh, yeah.
literally, of people. And you get all kind of stuff coming at you.
Mhm.
And you have to figure out how professional you can be to give them the customer service. I mean, but seriously, and you
Mhm.
know this, I know. I mean, it's like, I mean, I trust me. There are many times I'm going to cuss somebody out. You can't do that. I mean, you have to like just kind of, you know, or they try you for one way, and you're like, there's. So I think we mentioned on the show, and everybody was just like, oh my god, you guys said retail is one of the best experiences I've ever had. I might really.
That and answering the phone, which is very similar.
I've done it. I've done it too. I was a switchboard operator. I've done that too.
Yeah. I love answering the phone. I always think that I will not be a greeter at Walmart when I retire. I will be a receptionist somewhere where they still have somebody answering a live phone.
I mean, it's, you know, it's funny. You sit there. You're like, for me, it was Morgan Stanley, Dean Witter, Morgan Stanley, Dean Witter, Morgan Stanley, Dean Witter. As I did all day long, I was
Yeah.
I was the main person who did that.
Yeah.
So we have to actually end the show because we have to do our next show. We have a guest. But I mean, I'm James.
And I'm Melissa.
This is Coffee and Conversation with James and Melissa. Go ahead and follow us on all the audio platforms. You can listen to us in your ears, or go to JLJ Media, my online network, and watch us talk about things like this in the mornings on Mondays. And I want to thank you for a great year of us. We started doing this a little bit last year. You guys are tuning in and listening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have more for you this year. And of course, we'll see you next time with another conversation